a statement, and then we've got a number of people that would like to come up at this time. And this is the public portion of our meeting. If you'd like to address the council, and if you didn't sign up, we had some sign-up sheets. Any comments should be directed to the council as a whole, not to individual council members or city staff. It is your opportunity to raise a question or present a request to the council. However, in most cases, members will not respond immediately to the public, but may refer the matter to the city manager or staff for follow-up. We ask you to come to the podium in a civil, non-argumentative, and respectful manner. Personal attacks which have the potential to disrupt the meeting will not be tolerated. Time is monitored, and so we'll give you about 3 minutes, and we'll give you a heads up in about 2.5 minutes. So at this time, since you're on top of the list, now you can come on up.
To the mayor and each of you city council persons, as the mayor just said, I'm all over town. And it's very sad that our people are disturbed in our city. We cannot have our city without our citizens. No matter where you go, they're talking about the condition and the state of our city. So I thought, well, the United States of America is now in a constitutional crisis, so we are in a community citizen crisis here. So I hope, and my days are getting shorter, that each of you will make a decision to make our city better. I would like to see that done before the end of my life. Thank you so very much.
Nehemiah Smith, 1620 East Virginia Street, and then after Nehemiah, Warren Aldridge.
Good evening. The American South is known for many rare and peculiar things, especially when it comes to its contribution to language and the great American lexicon. Southern colloquialisms are of particular interest to me, but I am even more fascinated by the colorful and sometimes humorous idioms that find their origins in the South. One such idiom is the one that refers to canines that refuse to or do not have the ability to track prey. More specifically, that dog won't hunt. In days of a more neoteric vintage, that is to say recently, our fair city has seen an influx of pseudo-hunting dogs. First there was the manufactured issues hound. That dog wouldn't hunt. Then the carnival barker hound. That dog wouldn't hunt. Then there are the non-resident and seemingly drunk debutante hounds. Made a lot of noise, but ultimately they wouldn't hunt. So the decision was made to go blue blood and get an independent investigation hound. Early reports are that that dog not only wouldn't hunt, but couldn't hunt. And as in the tradition of the inexperienced gotcha hunter, instead of going somewhere and sitting down, he changes the narrative and is now waiting on the state auditor hound to hunt. And knowing Beth Wood as I do, when that dog refuses to hunt, you'll know, because you won't even get a report. All these pseudo-hunting dogs reminded me of the old Billy Preston song, "Nothing from nothing leaves nothing." So let's roll up our sleeves and get back to the good work of doing what is best for all citizens in Rocky Mountain. As for the dogs that won't hunt, stop feeding them and they'll starve to death.
Dr. Moore is Clark Cumberland, 2900 Greystone Drive.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, City Council, and our city staff. I've been away for a little while. Did you miss me? I'm a citizen of Rocky Mount, and I'm happy to be here. I'm actually very proud to be here. I was tempted to spend my allotted time addressing what you're calling the Veterans Parking Gate and the utter lack of decorum and lapses in judgment by a certain leader. But that's a morals issue. It's an argument on what's legal and versus what's right. I'm quite certain the audit results released today will be fairly similar Nothing blatantly illegal, but not necessarily examples of servant leadership either. Just like parking in a spot reserved for someone else, it's not technically illegal, but it doesn't make it right. But I digress. Instead of dwelling on that, I draw on this week's inspiration from life lessons learned from my mother and my grandparents, and from this week's sermon from the pastor Luke Lunsford at First Baptist across the street. I guess I should consider it an honor to be called out recently by a local blogger. This is where the life lesson from my parents comes in. If you can't say something positive, don't say anything at all. So rather than legitimize a rabble-rouser and let my family down, I'll stay positive. The claim that we are using, quote, black children to accomplish our mission, I'm proud to admit that we are partially guilty as charged. The mission we set out to accomplish was to bring a bunch of kids to the ocean for the first time to see it. And guess what? 38 kids have earned their way, and they'll be departing for that ocean in a few weeks. I tear up every time I think about this project. I started this group called Love Rocky Mount, intending to break down barriers, begin a dialogue among diverse people groups. One simple conversation led to this trip and a fundraising effort to pay for it all. This is just the beginning. Hundreds have joined us on our journey. We have accomplished design work for a logo. It perfectly illustrates our love for Rocky Mount and our desire to bridge the divides that exist within our community. This week, our pastor wrapped up a series of sermons in Jonah. Does our church reflect the compassion of God? We'll ask every week, does our mission at Love Rocky Mount reflect the compassion of God? I truly believe we must all attempt to get along and work together. Recently, I have contacted 2 members of this council to ask if they would sit down with me and begin dialogue. As of today, no response. I've also reached out multiple times to one of the most prominent ministers in this city for the same idea. As of today, sadly, no response. Tomorrow I'll make further attempts, including an invitation to you, Mrs. City Manager, to sit down and begin dialogue with people like us. And in closing, citizens of Rocky Mount, hear this. There will be resistance, but together we shall prevail and make a difference. Remember this, if God is for us, who can be against us? Through him we will continue to make a difference. Through him we will break down the barriers and will bridge divides. We will not let naysayers drag us down. Love Rocky Mount.
After Clark Cumolo, Samuel Battle, 216 Oak Street.
How long is the report?
Excuse me?
The next improvement report, how long is the report?
Well, they're going to present it today, an overview of it, so we'll discuss that when we get to that.
Have y'all read the report yet?
We're seeing the final results today.
Okay. Will we be able to get like a print copy of the report when everything's said and done?
I'm going to look at our attorney and ask him.
Well, the council will look at the report, a written version, and then I think their intention is to release something. It's up to the council.
Okay.
Thank you. Samuel Battle and then Jewel T. Williams. I think it's Williams.
Good evening. My first concern is about Martin Luther King Park. We got a 20-foot something hole at the park. We would like for y'all to close the park down for so when no kids and nobody get hurt. I just found out over the weekend y'all had a dump truck at the landfill flipped over because y'all was digging up the park. Y'all was getting concrete and steel. So I just want the park shut down. A couple of us want the park shut down at Martin Luther King Park. Y'all can make that happen. That's fine with me. Second issue is the shooting in Hinsdale. It's occurring on Charlie and Charlie Drive and Cherry Street. Well, you know, we got a city councilman who stay there. We need police and everything there. If you stay there, you need to handle that situation, sir. You really do need to handle that situation. We got shooting for the last 3 weeks. You can go to the police department on the dispatch. They'll holler at you about that. Number 3, the last final thing. We had CSX, G.K. Butterfield. I got Sanders on him. Great man. Gave me probation. Roy Cooper, North Carolina. The governor, Democrat. What pissed me off about this situation, man, we had 1, 2, 3, 4. The city council didn't even show up for that. We got 1,500 jobs coming, and none of you showed up. The project is $158 million project, and y'all didn't even show up for that.
Should have asked if we all got invited.
Yeah, invited, you ain't gotta get invited. You ain't have to get invited.
Go ahead, Mr.
But you're speaking for everybody, Ruth. You said everybody.
I said the question we should ask is do we get.
Oh, okay, my fault. But I'm just saying somebody should have showed up. You know, I don't even understand. Everybody looking around like we going at our people like that. But I'm going at you because right is right and wrong is wrong at the end of the day. If you're not doing what you're supposed to do, step aside. Please step aside. Because this war that we're going to is really about to get real heat. It's really about to get real heat. And like I told Kenia Denson, don't never put nothing of me on Facebook or on page with my kids or nothing. It's gonna be a problem. So I'm not playing that. I don't even play that. At the head of the SAC and the NAACP, I don't play them type of games. So don't come at me like that, because if you do, it's gonna be a problem.
30 seconds.
All right.
Yeah.
You're on my time. You're on my time, sir.
Excuse me, I'm talking.
So you're on my time.
No.
You're on my time. I ain't finished yet. You said 30 seconds.
30 seconds. Go ahead.
All right. Well, I'm just telling you, y'all need to get this situation straight. Now, if you got something to say, Andre, we can go outdoors. You know, I don't even care about that because I'm not that one. I'm just telling you. Yeah, I'm just telling you. That's how I feel. Yeah.
Susan Berry Cole and then Adrian Wood.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
can I say this? That we ask for no personal attacks. We ask for no name calling in the process. And we would appreciate it if you can conduct yourself that way as you address the issues. Thank you.
I just want to say, Mr. Mayor, I appreciate it as we conduct ourselves in a manner that's respectful, that when personal attacks take place, that you would take your authority and rule that person out of order. And if you do that, then we would have respect.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you for your work. I wanted to speak again on the proposed housing, as we previously discussed, and just share that I, as a citizen of Rocky Mount, am in full support of that, with the environmental concerns fully investigated and cleared. And having just completed the Excellent Citizens Academy offered by the City of Rocky Mount, I have complete faith in our leadership, in our leaders of the various departments, and I learned a lot. And I encourage other citizens who sometimes maybe take some misinformation and kind of go with it to confirm and even maybe participate in our wonderful academies that are offered. The Citizens Academy, the Police Academy, the Fire Department Academy. That way you can learn who the leaders are, how much they love this city, how much they love their jobs, and the fine work that they do for us. It seems some Rocky Mount citizens may be a little anxious to find fault. Please consider the big picture. Everybody needs to consider the big picture and the future. And think about Rocky Mount in 20 years, with people of various backgrounds living, working, and playing in downtown Rocky Mount. I can see it. I've been away 10 years, and I came back, and I've seen changes that have impressed me. And I just hope and pray that others can see it with me. Thank you.
Thank you. After Ms. Cole is Dr. Adrian Wood.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council. I guess my comments, they're about affordable housing as well, and I guess I would put them in the form of a status report. It's not a complaint or an attack. I'm speaking from the perspective of 14 under-resourced neighborhoods that exist in these cities. In 2014, the City commissioned a housing study, and it ranked neighborhoods on the basis of investment quality, and we have 14 impoverished, racially segregated neighborhoods that have experienced disinvestment for a long period of time, and I live in one of them. I live in the Down East Community neighborhood. I'm speaking tonight because I don't know if any of you saw it, but there was a big story in the Sunday edition of the News and Observer about action being considered in Raleigh and Durham for the proposal of a housing bond to address a housing affordability crisis in those communities. We have a housing affordability crisis right here in Rocky Mount. The News and Observer story pointed to the number of cost-burdened residents in Durham and in Raleigh. I would like to mention to you tonight that over 37% of families in our city are cost-burdened, meaning that they're spending over 30% of their income on housing costs. We are very encouraged by the conversations we're having with executive leadership under the supervision of our city manager. We have been engaged in conversation, and we residents in the 14 neighborhoods have banded together, and we're making recommendations to the city. We look to you to join with us in partnership. We're not here to attack or to criticize. We're asking for partnership to uplift these neighborhoods so that all of us can have a better quality of life. And we recommend that you look at terms like inclusive, addressing inequities and equitable development in the revitalization of our city. I'd like to conclude by saying that we residents are willing to work with you to carry some of the burden. We don't look just to you all to solve the problems in our neighborhoods, but we do want to be a good partner and good citizens of this town. Thank you for listening to me.
I'm Dr. Adrienne Wood. Democracy cannot endure without an informed electorate. I was born and raised in Rocky Mount, called Nash County home. My parents moved here in a 6-foot youth hall that was half full in 1971. I love my hometown. I live in Eatonton now, Chilon County. And recently, last week, I came back because my parents' house was robbed. And I just had the best experience with the police department. I just couldn't say how diligent and helpful they've been. And while I was there, I thought, you know, I'm going to go up and visit the city manager. I've been writing and reading a lot of things, and I'm going to go take a look. And I go up there, and she calls the police on me, which is interesting because I'd just been talking to them. And, you know, I'm 44. I graduated from Chapel Hill, Meredith, NC State. I've never had the police called on me. I'm white. But should that matter when I care about my town or leaders? I don't align myself with people that look like me. I want people that give a crap about what's going on here. That's all. That's all I want. And we have all these people that are showing up here tonight, and they're saying, you know what, I care. Because Rocky Mount was awesome. I mean, when I was little, it was the city on the rise. And now, it's the city of demise. I'm so tired of it. And I hope that people are willing to listen and think about everybody and don't pit races against races to cause problems, because it shouldn't be a problem. It's not a problem to me, and I believe in Rocky Mount. And I believe that people can run and do the jobs that they were hired to do or elected to do, and I have faith in the council that she'll come next. Thank you.
Nathan Orr, and then Johnny Cunningham. Nathan is at 1713 Beverly Road, and Johnny is, I believe, at 548. Nathan. I'm sorry for pronounce your name.
Good evening, Your Honorable Mayor and our esteemed City Council and our most gracious City Manager. My name is Madeline O. Reed. I am the third Vice President of the Rocky Mount branch of the NAACP. The mission of the NAACP is to ensure the political, educational, social, and economic equality of rights of all persons, and to eliminate racial hatred and racial discrimination. Over the years, the NAACP has followed these guiding principles and will continue to do so. Today, the NAACP is the most respected civil rights organization in the country. I come to you to express my hope that the citizens of this fair city will realize that this is a new day in the life of our city. We have a new generation of college graduates who are seeking new and improved jobs and affordable housing. And yes, we want to encourage our council to please move forward on behalf of our citizens, young and old. And as a resident of Edgecombe side of Rocky Mount, I am looking forward to improving the pride on my side. Thank you.
Good afternoon, citizens, council. Mayor Parker, I commend you for your humble, loyal service, loving, kind service to our city. I remember you the day I got here 30 years ago. You're probably the first person I met. I've always been inspired by your drive for the betterment of our community and our city. I just want you to know that I love you and thank you for your service to our community. I was described as a pit bull, cute and cuddly, but yet watch him because he'll turn on you. And you know what? That old pit bull went over in the corner and he just laid there for a while. That old dog, all these hunting dogs, the one you have to pay attention to is the one that went over and laid down in the corner. He done all the hunting, all the running, all the training. He done heard shotguns and he done jumped in the river and got the duck, got the geese, and drug them back to the master, and he got tired. He went over there and he laid in that corner. Then he started kicking on that old dog. That dog said, okay, what am I going to do about this? What am I going to do? I went over here and I laid down in this corner. So now this old dog is back. And guess what? He ain't by himself. But he's back for one reason. It's the same reason 25 years ago I stood here. It's for unity. And guess what? All the begging and the pleading and the kicking, finally, our cries were heard. And our pleas fell upon caring, loving, humble strangers. You know, the scriptures say, beware of how you entertain strangers, because some have entertained angels unaware. And for someone to, Mr. Dancy, have the audacity to say that I use poor black kids for a political purpose, then we all know what he is.
You got about 30 seconds.
Okay? I want to thank Love Rocky Mountain, because if not for Love Rocky Mountain, you see the new man, he wouldn't be here today. I'll be cursing and cussing, but that one on the left side of my shoulder, he had a fit, because that's what he wants to do. But because the love lifted me, and I thank Love Rocky Mountain, because without them, I would not be able to stand here today and say, unity is going to prevail, and love is going to stand. Thank you.
Thank you. Jackie King, 122 Daniels Avenue, and then it looks like Saleh Muhammad would be next.
Good evening. Good evening, citizens, mayor, city manager, city clerk, council.
As forestated, I am Jackie King. I reside in the Battleboro community, which is in the city of Rocky Mount. Tonight, I am representing the Rocky Mount branch of the NAACP, where I serve as the first vice chair. The mission has been forestated, but I'm going to repeat it. The mission of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People is to secure the political, educational, social, and economic equality of rights in order to eliminate race-based discrimination and ensure the health and well-being of all persons. The vision of the NAACP is to ensure a society in which all individuals have equal rights without discrimination based on race. With that being said, I've also worked with Ms. Sue Perry and the Community Academy about workforce housing. We, the citizens of the slighted and blighted communities, are taking a stand to support those members of the Rocky Mount City Council who are interested in improving the quality of life in our neighborhoods. We care about the workforce housing development. We care about affordable housing development. We care about the Atlantic Artisan Corridor study. We care about the jobs coming to Edgecombe County. We care about downtown development. We care about the success of the Rocky Mount Event Center. We care about our local public school systems. We care about the expansion of Medicare and Medicaid. We care about the politics of our local government. We care, and our voices matter. Thank you.
Thank you. Saladin.
Good evening. I've been here 40 years, Saladin Muhammad. And in these 40 years, Rocky Mount has not been a city on the rise. When you look at the Edgecombe side of Rocky Mount, you can't, with good consciousness, say that Rocky Mount has been the city on the rise. Now, if we're honest, I think we would arrive at that conclusion. Let me say this, and I hope you know that we critically examine what I'm saying. Almost 40 years ago, there had to be a lawsuit in order to address the issue of democracy here in Rocky Mount. Because the community, and particularly the African American community, did not have the democratic right to vote for people in their wards to be elected. Ever since that suit happened, there's been deep anger by people who are offended because there's some expression of exercising black political power. Black political power is not opposed to white people. It's addressing the inequities that our communities have experienced all of the time that I've lived in Rocky Mount and when my mother lived in Rocky Mount. And so unless we are willing to unite to resolve those inequities, to talk about unity means very, very, very little. I'm hearing people say, yes, sir, and yes, ma'am, to me. And I welcome that. You know, years ago, it would have been yes, ma'am, or yes, sir. But I tell you, our community needs more than good greetings. We need a city council of all genders and races and nationalities to make the tough decisions to address the problems that have really, really kept us divided. And I hope that this city council shows the guts to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. That is the end of the public petitions from the public, which was item number 6. We are going to move on to item number 7 now.